Hello, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. Today we're actually going to be playing with some new products from Tarte. I have the new Maracuja Juicy Eye and Cheek palette, and I also have the new Maracuja Juicy Concealer. The concealer was something that had my attention from the very beginning. This palette, I swore I was probably not going to buy. And then I received a promo email from Tarte with 25% off, so I figured that was a sign that I should grab this collection. So I did, and I thought it'd be fun to play with it together. I also did pick up the concealer because there was definitely some interest on reviewing this one. I'm not doing a full day wear test, but I do want to put it on. I haven't tried it at all yet, so I think that will be fun. I probably should have filmed this part, but I did use the Tarte Shape Tape Cloud Coverage Foundation, and I did my brows, and that's all I have on right now. I'm just going in with my Milani eyeshadow base to start. I did pick up the Cloud Coverage Foundation. I needed to meet the shipping threshold, so I thought that would be the best thing to grab. I wanted that foundation because Kelly Gooch raves about it, and I do tend to have very similar preferences to her. And I'm just going to set that with a little bit of powder as well. I'm just going to be using my Charlotte Tilbury. So I've been liking the foundation fine. To me, it works best with a sponge, and it's supposed to be a medium buildable coverage. I think it's a little bit more of a light medium in my experience so far, but I'm still playing with it. This is only the second time I've worn it, but it does seem pretty nice. I find it is very thick, so when I use a brush, I really do end up with brush strokes through my makeup. When I use a sponge, it just looks really nice. So that's the only thing I've really learned about it so far. It doesn't dry down fully matte. It kind of dries down like a satin. It doesn't fully dry, and it doesn't feel drying, but it is definitely not tacky, which we know I love. So let's get into the palette. So this is what the box looks like. This does have a 12-month shelf life. This is available now on the Tarte website. This retails for $52 US or 71 Canadian, which is why I wanted to get it on a discount. And they actually do have one for lighter skin tones and one for deeper skin tones, which I think is wonderful. So you do get 12 eyeshadows in here, and you also get 2 cream blushes and a cream contour. This is their Maracuja Juicy blush and contour. The shadows I don't think are their Amazonian clay formula, so that also made me a little bit skeptical about trying these. The palette overall does look really very pretty. One thing I noticed in the initial promo photos was that you couldn't always tell whether there was a guard over top of these cream products. There is, and I do love that it really does go all the way across. It does look to be really good and really protective. I don't typically like when they put creams and powders in one palette because I think that no matter what, they're going to end up getting contaminated, but I think the way they've done it here with a full separation might actually be sufficient. I know in some photos you could kind of see where there might be a guard, these little notches here, and some photos didn't seem to have that at all, so there was a lot of questions. Okay, let's put this on the face. I'm just going to go in to this very first shade. This is the shade Pearl. I'm just going to use this to kind of create some sort of base. It looks to be like a creamy pinky shade. Actually, let me zoom you in just a little bit while we do the eyes. Okay, that's better. Not too close, but just close enough you can see something. This is a really nice little creamy, little pinky creamy shade. Something about that shade didn't really play nice with my primer and powder. I've never really had that before, but it kind of ended up looking a little bit chalky. I don't know if it's me, if it's the primer. I'm just going to move on from that shade. So I'm going to go in to the shade Rose, which is this one right here. And this one is going to define my crease. I'm a big fan of the Amazonian clay formula for Tarte, but I'm not very well versed in their other eyeshadow formula. This shade's pretty though. This one's working a lot better. I know this is another pinky brown sort of palette, but I can see how it would be perfect for every day. And I love that they came out with one for deeper skin tones as well. I feel like, I've said this before, but I really feel like Tarte is making a comeback. I feel like they were a prominent brand there for a while, and then they kind of fell off a little bit, but I feel like they might be back. They've been coming out with some really good products lately, and I'm absolutely loving it. I do like that you also get a really nice big mirror in this palette. It's really good quality. Okay, I think I might take a little bit of the shade Iris. I was debating on whether or not I wanted to lean into those pinks or go for some browns, but I think I want to play with the pinks a little bit today. This actually is blending quite well. Everything seems to be working really well together. With the finger, I'm going to take the shade Orchid. It's the shimmer right here. That's pretty. It's a very, very smooth shimmer formula. It's pretty enough. It is definitely, like I said, a very smooth shimmer formula. So if you're looking for that deep, impactful foil, it's not going to be in this. But what I'm gathering so far is this seems like a really nice everyday palette, like a daily staple. Okay, I'm going to take the shade Cherry Blossom, also on a finger. And I'm going to put this more toward the inner portion of the lid. I just want to see if I can get a little bit more brightness to the look. That's definitely giving a lot more impact. Yeah, definitely prettier once I added that in. So I don't think this is my favorite shimmer formula. Like I said, some of them are definitely on the very smooth side, so you're really not getting a very impactful shimmer. Some of them are a little bit more bold, but still not giving a ton of impact. Okay, let me pop on some mascara and then I'll come back and we will get into that new concealer. Okay, so I just put on some mascara. I actually used the Tartelette tubing mascara just to keep the theme going. And then next I want to try the Maracuja Juicy Concealer. So this retails for $30 US or 40 Canadian. I have the shade Fair. So this is what the concealer looks like. It does just come in this little plastic pot. It does feel very inexpensive, but this is supposed to be a full coverage concealer with a natural radiant finish for smoother, brighter, and more lifted and youthful looking eyes. Built-in eye cream hydrates so it won't cake or crease into fine lines, wrinkles, or pores. This is sold with a brush for $32 or without the brush for $30. And this is in 21 shades, which is pretty good. So this does actually say to warm it up with your fingers before going in with a brush. So this is what it looks like. Oh, it does feel very, very thick. I'm just warming up a little bit between my fingers. It's very, very thick. Okay, I'm just gonna dot. And then I am just going to blend it with the finger on this side and see how well that works. My fingers were annoying me, so I did finish it with the brush, but it definitely does look to be full coverage. I will say it's almost sticky because it's so thick. Maybe I didn't warm it up quite enough, but it definitely gives good coverage. Just adding a little bit more out here. Kind of want to try a little bit of spot concealing. Just taking the littlest bit on a finger and just adding it to some areas that could use a little extra love. This might be too light to spot conceal, but we'll see. It's definitely an interesting consistency. I feel like when you touch it, it's a very thick cream. And then as you rub it between your fingers, it does get a little bit sticky feeling. It does still feel a little bit tacky under the eyes. I can't tell if this is one I want to powder or not. I kind of do want to powder it just to see. Okay, let's see how it works for those spots. Okay, it's too light for me to spot conceal with, I can tell, because all it's really doing is highlighting the spots, but at the same time it is giving good coverage. So if I was wearing a lighter foundation, this might work a little bit better, but I do think this would be an excellent formula for spot concealing. Okay, so while I am gathering my thoughts on the concealer, let's go into the contour and the blush. So first I want to look at a quick swatch of the contour. I've never used the Maracuja cream blushes or bronzers, so I don't know what to expect. This is what the bronzer looks like. I'm worried because it does look very, very warm and it looks like it might be too warm for me, but at the same time, it does seem like it's going to be a little bit more on the sheer side. So I guess we'll see. Let's look at the blushes also. Since we're here, they do feel definitely more like an oil-based formula. There is a ton of slip to these. So this first shade is Peach. and then pink. So pink is obviously very, very vibrant. Peach is going to be that perfect everyday shade. I'm just going to grab my e.l.f. Putty Primer Applicator. This is one of my favorites to use for cream products. And I'm going to go into that contour. I'm going to start on this side in case I mess it up. Okay, at first I got too much, but now I don't know if you can see anything. Oh, maybe a little bit. Okay. It definitely blends very, very easily. It's definitely a more sheer formula. So when you initially apply it, it looks a little bit intimidating because it does look pigmented, but the more you blend, it does end up looking quite nice. So you can definitely see it a lot easier on the cheeks. I do like that they put a bronzer in here instead of a highlight because I do think it makes it a little bit more everyday convenient. Okay, I actually do think that looks really, really nice. There was a bit of a learning curve for me at first, but I actually think that looks quite nice for the bronzer. I mean, definitely should have used a little bit less on this side, but I do think it made me look a little bit more sculpted. Okay, I definitely want to use, between the two blushes, I definitely want to use Peach because I think that's going to be a perfect everyday shade. And also with my Putty Primer Applicator, but I do have two of these. I am just going to tap off a little bit of the blush on my hand. That's a really, really pretty everyday blush shade. Still even more vibrant than I expected, but still really, really pretty. It definitely has a glow to it. My skin is loving these creamy products though, that's for sure. Okay, we did go in with a little bit much, but I still think it's very pretty. I think that's a really pretty blush, I really do. Definitely brighter than I expected, like I said, but still very, very pretty. I do want to add just a little bit of powder to my eyes. I do feel like that concealer dried down nicely, so I don't actually have to set it if I don't want to. I also want to add some powder over where I spot concealed, just to actually add a little more powder there and make it so that they don't look highlighted. Otherwise, I think this makeup look turned out quite nice actually. I'm very impressed. For lips, I actually got the cutest little sample of their Maracuja Juicy Lip Plump in the shade Primrose. Look how cute that little sample is. So I wanted to try this shade. I do have the lip plump already, but I have wanted to try this shade for a bit. And I do really, really like this formula, and that shade is absolutely perfect for this look. The nice thing about this little sample too is that you can roll it back down. So even though it's just the tiniest sample, it's nice to roll it back down. I like the packaging better than the original. But this is the final makeup look, so definitely going for that monotone pink today. So let's talk about this palette. I think overall this palette is pretty. I love that they came out with one for deeper skin tones. I'm actually really liking the cream products. I find the contour leans definitely more on the sheer side, so it is easy to work with if you do get too much. The blushes are also very pretty, also very vibrant. There is a lot of slip to them. I am very curious to see if they last all day long. Something tells me that they are going to fade quite quickly just with how hydrating they feel. So I will leave a pinned comment down below to let you know if they wore all day long or if they did disappear quickly. But overall, I like them. I think they're a really nice formula. I think they're going to be great for every day, and if you love cream products, these might be really nice. The eyeshadows. I think the mattes were really pretty. The shimmers were definitely a little bit lackluster. I think they might be really good for somebody who does have a little bit more texture on their lids because they are definitely more of a smooth shimmer. They are not going to enhance texture or anything like that. They're just very, very smooth if you just want a little bit of a sheen. But if you're looking for a high impact sparkly shimmer, I would pass on this. I just don't think you're going to be happy with the quality of the shimmers. The mattes are fine so far, but I don't think you would be happy with the quality of the shimmers. And I realized I didn't do this earlier, but I did want to show you some quick swatches of the palette. The mattes definitely feel very buttery to the touch. They swatched very, very well. It was kind of the shimmers that were sort of the weak point. So that being said, I think this is a nice palette. I would not spend full price on it. I mean, makeup goes on sale all the time. You can always get a deal, but this is something that I don't think you need to go out and grab right away, make sure you have it. I think it's nice. It's one of those things that I would wait for the Sephora sale or for when Tarte has one of their sales. They do have a lot of sales on their website, so I would probably wait for one of those to pick this up. But if you do, I do think this could be a really nice everyday staple. Again, you have a perfect mix of everyday eyeshadows, you get a contour, and you get 2 blushes. So I do think this could be a really great everyday staple if this is what you're looking for. The concealer. So the packaging really doesn't seem very expensive to me at all, but the product itself is very interesting. If you can see that, it looks to be a very, very thick cream. And that's just very interesting to me. It definitely does end up being very full coverage. So if you love a good full coverage concealer, this could be nice. This is also great for spot concealing. I found it did a really good job. It was a little bit too light for me to do that, but I do think this is an excellent, excellent concealer for spot concealing. I will give you all my thoughts at the end of the month in a speed reviews to let you know if this creased, how it wore, things like that. So far, I like it. It's definitely requiring a little bit of a learning curve. I don't have a lot of concealers like this that are a similar texture. I'm used to the NARS Soft Matte Concealer or even the MAC Potted Concealer. I'm very familiar with those. They are creams, but the NARS is more of a stiff cream, and I kind of forget that it's a cream sometimes. The MAC is definitely a little bit creamy, but nothing is like a thick moisturizer cream like this. But maybe this is the way that it is because it is infused with eye cream. We'll see. I will, of course, let you know at the end of the month, like I said, my thoughts. But so far so good. I really like how this look turned out. Definitely that monotone pink, which I'm not mad about. So overall, these are both really, really nice products. I do need more time with this one to figure out my exact thoughts, but as of right now, I do like it. The palette, again, I think it's nice. I think I'll definitely reach for it again, but it's not something that I would recommend you pay full price for. Like I said, the shadows aren't the very, very best formula. They're not terrible, but they're not the best formula. But if you are somebody who likes a bit more of a smooth, muted shimmer, you might really like this. And if you like cream products, this might be a great purchase. So like I mentioned, I will leave a pinned comment down below to let you know how the cream products wore. But otherwise, I'm happy with today's makeup look. Let me know down below if you picked this one up. Were you curious about it? Let me know your thoughts. Let me know any questions you might have that maybe I didn't quite answer in this video. But that is it for me today. Thank you so very much for watching. If you're new here, I hope you'll consider subscribing before you go. I do upload new videos every single week. Thank you again so very much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!